Hello and good morning to Send Out Cards Saturday Training with me, Janine Bolon, and welcome to A Better Way, or Greener Still, the parent company for Send Out Cards. I don't want you to get worried. Send Out Cards is just part of a larger group of folks that are getting income from various ways. I still am focusing very much on Send Out Cards because I started with Send Out Cards. I have a lot of success with Send Out Cards, and so most of my trainings are going to be on sending cards. So I have had an inordinate number of business owners contact me this week. And because of those 12 different Zoom meetings that I was on, where I was doing one-to-ones with individuals, I just wanted to say this about your business. Whether you are working full-time with Send Out Cards or Send Out Cards is just a side hack, whatever your primary business is, we are going to focus on that. So through this training, I want you to focus on your primary business, and then we'll bring Send Out Cards into it. But I want you to focus on your primary business and the life that you are living. If 2020 has taught us anything, it's we've made a lot of choices to live a different life for ourselves. Some of the choices were made for us, but it all comes down to our personal choices. And what I'd like to discuss with you as we move forward is I'm always going to bring you back to your primary business. Some of you are working full-time and you want to build up your side hack so that you can eventually move out of corporate America and be an entrepreneur. So what we're going to do is talk about the number one difficulty that entrepreneurs have, or solopreneurs, and that is, before you ever get into business, before you ever step foot into spring, let's say it that way, we want you to sit and think about what makes your life successful. That is your number one question to ask. So what makes your life currently successful? And that can send your brain into 1,000,001 different categories and situations. And what I want you to kind of focus on is this kind of picturesque scene of a very fertile field. I was raised in the Midwest, and when I would see this on a field, I knew immediately that that was lush ground, lush territory. And I want you to realize that with 2021, it couldn't be a better time to be an entrepreneur. Why? There are opportunities and niche markets that exist by the hundreds of thousands that did not exist in 2019. The sheer volume of people online has gone, this is a piece of data for you. This is the data from Zoom alone. Okay, so we're not talking worldwide, we're just talking from Zoom and their numbers. In 2019, they had roughly 10 million people using their services. By now, of 2021, 300 million people are now using their services. So please realize that is staggering for any business. And the fact that if you are able to take your time building your life your way and using online presence to do it, you will be successful. But first, there are a few things we must make consideration for, and that is, I want you to define for yourself right now, what is it that makes myself, when am I going to be successful? I use when, a time trigger, because I want to bring about something that's very imperative for you. And that time trigger is you are successful now. Sometimes business owners get so caught up in goal setting, they forget about their life. And I want you to realize you're successful now. You've graduated high school. You may or may not be married. You have a place to live. You have technology services that you are able to use so that you can hear the sound of my voice. I want you to focus on where you are already successful, because I want you to see yourself as you are successful right now. And do not postpone your feelings of success, okay? And we're going to go over some of this, because sometimes what happens with business owners is they get so wrapped up on the dollars and they determine their success based on how much money they're making, instead of putting the focus in the most important place, and that is the life that they have created for themselves. As an entrepreneur, you have made a choice. As an entrepreneur, you have made the choice that you are going to build life your way. And it's very important that you build the life you want first, and then you build your business to fit into that life. So I hope that makes sense for you guys, okay? Because A lot of times business owners forget that the whole reason you went into business for yourself was so you could live life your way. So make sure you have built the life you want first, and then you fit the business in between the cracks. And that's why we're talking today. We're going to focus on creating your habits of success, because by building habits that are successful, then you get out of that trap that goal setting can sometimes lead you into, which is you'll be successful when this next project is done. I'll be successful when I make $100,000 a year. I'll be successful. You see how everything is postponed, so you don't allow yourself to be happy in the moment, which is the exact opposite of why you got into business. You got into business so you could live life your way. And so this is what we want to focus on today. What happens with some goal setting is you end up being like this duck. This duck is standing on a piece of ice. Okay, it's on the water and everything, but as it's looking out over the water, it doesn't know where the treachery is. You can't quite tell when I'm going to start slipping and I'm going to need to start swimming. So what we want to do is we want to get you into a place where you are not feeling like you're about to step off into treachery. We want you to feel secure in what you're doing. And this is the number one element of business owners that have difficulty, and that is called decision fatigue. One of these things is the one you want, right? You want a pair of scissors, you want it to cut, you want it to do a certain amount of things, but you go into decision fatigue because you don't know which one you should have. As I used to tell my young children when they were under the age of 7, I'd be like, what do you want to get from the store? And they were like, I don't know. I said, well, we're not walking into the store until you have decided on what you want. Because of the sheer volume of choice. Choice can get you into decision fatigue. And when you get into decision fatigue, you won't start. You won't make that first step. You won't cross the line. Or if you do, you're being a drill sergeant with yourself. You're being stern with yourself. You're like trying to motivate yourself instead of the absolute power of being an entrepreneur is being able to have inspired action. You are inspired. You don't have to be a drill sergeant to yourself. You need to allow yourself to be your creative and best self. And you do that not by sitting there trying to motivate yourself. Decision fatigue causes you to flake out on your papers and you just can't move anywhere because you're tired. You have exhausted yourself. So how do we keep this from happening? That is by our habits. And this is where you embrace boredom. Now, some people are like, oh my God, what are you talking about? You know, the last thing I want is to be bored in life. I agree with you. But I also tell you that all that goal planning you're doing and your infinitely long and huge to-do list that keeps getting longer and longer and longer is not going to help you in the long run. It's going to drive you into burnout. And that's what I want to prevent you from doing. And it's all because of the number of choices that you're asking yourself to have in your daily life. You want to cut down on the number of choices. So I have a set of systems and you are welcome to use them or not, because again, it's your life. Live it your way, right? And what is a successful life for me may not be a successful life for you, right? So this is where our individuality comes in. However, please set up these systems of some kind. So I have my happy Sunday where from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. I am planning my perfect week. And of course, it's a joke. There is no such thing as a perfect week. There's a perfect moment. But as far as having a whole perfect week, well, I actually do have perfect weeks. I can actually say that with total honesty because of the way I have set up my life. I am living life totally my way and on my terms. And so that makes me, in my mind, insanely successful, enviable. Okay. And I also want to share with you the sole fact that you want to be an entrepreneur and that you are maybe a solopreneur. Please realize people will envy you. There will be jealousy. There will be a lot of anger sometimes. And it has nothing to do with you. It's their personal problem. However, you may be the recipient of that. So I want you to reach out to community. Do not sit. Being an entrepreneur is a very solitary kind of engaging aspect, right? So you want to combine to community. Figure out who are people of like mind for you so that you can hang with us, whether it's us on Saturday when we're doing the send out cards or you find another network. But the most important part is cut down the number of decisions you're going to be doing in a day. And you do that through your calendar. So as you can see, what I have here on the calendar is on Sunday from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. I have the 2-hour stint where I am creating my perfect week. I'm sitting down and making sure that everything is in alignment with my goals. We've talked about this before, so I'm going to move through this pretty quickly. But the biggest thing is I go through my 5 big rocks, my spiritual aspects of my life. Am I happy with what that's happening there? My mental aspects. Am I happy with my scholarship? Emotionally, am I happy with the relationships I have? Am I happy with where I'm going with the projects that really are my passion? And then physically, am I doing well with what I want to do physically? And then family and friends. Are there people that I want to reach out to that I haven't reached out to? That sort of thing. So that is what I'm doing with my perfect week. Then you'll see from 6:30 to 7:30, Monday through Friday, I am sending cards for an hour. Some days I send 3 cards. Some days I send 22 cards. And these are heartfelt cards. And I have systems in place on how I send out those cards. But Monday through Friday, for 5 hours a week, I am sending cards. Then from 7:30 to 8, I'm singing happy birthday on Facebook and LinkedIn. I go to those type of places, I find out who's having a birthday and I sing happy birthday to them. And I'm still sending cards because sometimes I already have these people's address, but I'm singing them happy birthday anyway, just letting them know I'm thinking about them. Then after that, you see that white space there. That's because I'm exercising and I'm taking a shower. And then at 9 a.m., that's when I start my work day. That's when I'm prospecting. I'm doing follow-up. I'm connecting with people. Here on Thursday, you'll see from 9 to 10, I'm building my master contact sheet. And then on Friday, I'm training myself. From 9 to 10, I allow myself an hour to just read a business book of some kind. It is in some way I am learning something new with that. I also happen to write articles on the books I read, and I post them on my Thriving Solopreneur. Sorry, my Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, okay, so I'm training myself. Then from 10 to 5, I work at my quote, real job. I'm a financial first responder. I host 4 podcast shows. I run an online university. And from 10 to 5, that is when I'm doing that. So you see that send out cards is kind of my side hack. It's my side business, right? Then from 5 to 6 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, I'm going through my mail. I'm going through the mail that has arrived because in case you haven't noticed, 2021 and 2020, we were getting a lot more post than we ever had before. And so I had to actually create an hour a day that I could sort through all that because there are things that are coming in through online services that I have to put somewhere in my house. I have to sort it and put it in my house. I have addresses that are being returned, send out cards, so I have to go and update my address box. There were activities, so I need a full hour to get through the mail and sort it and make sure things don't pile up. Actually, I was unable to do that last week, and so if you would look at my inbox, it's like overflowing, so I have to do that today. But the goal is, because all of that happened last week, it's like this week I'm making an adjustment, and from 5 to 6, moving forward, I am going to be sorting through that mail so it doesn't pile up the way it is on my inbox right now. Okay, so it's time for us to send good mail. And the reason I want you to start focusing on sending cards every day, Monday through Friday, is because number one, it is such a positive feedback loop. It's a way of feeling better and not quite so solitary in your life. And I hear you. I do hear you with those 12 one-to-one phone calls that I did last week. I hear you when it comes to the money thing. It's like, yes, Janine, but how do I make money? You make money through your habits. You make money by being an automated system. I've had people say that when they take my creating your habits of success, my Build Your Business Bootcamp, that Janine, you're almost like a machine. I'm like, yes, because I do not want to have to think too much. I want to save all my thinking for creativity. So you want to automate your systems. And when you say automation, I know a lot of people think of robots and email systems that are automatic. Actually, it's automating you. You don't want to be a machine where you don't have emotion, but you don't want to have to think any more than necessary with the stuff that you're doing. And there's a reason for this. The more you automate, then as the money comes in, because it will, if you do the things like I'm sharing with you, money will come in. And when that money comes in, then it's super easy to hire it out. And that way you automate the stuff you don't like to do, because then you get a system set up, and then you can hire it out and give it to an executive assistant. And that's my next aspect of my boot camps. I have a Build Your Business Bootcamp. The series after that is how to go about hiring an executive assistant to do what you want. But you have to build your systems first. Because if you don't build your systems first, you can't train the next person. And that's the goal, is so that you are only working the areas of your business that you love. All right? It all comes down to this, your master contact sheet. Your master contact sheet is your dashboard. It is what you are using to track every person that you talk to and you communicate with, and you can get a hold of them through this master contact sheet. Now, mine is a little different from the one that I have posted or that I used as a class example for you guys. I have LinkedIn and Facebook. I was running with Alignable in 2020, and I found that I am not getting enough prospects or income from the connections that I have on Alignable. I wasn't even able to establish strategic partners. So Alignable I have dropped, and in my master contact sheet, I now have this as the website, because I find that I have so many other entrepreneurs that are attracted to me and that are my clients, that I put their personal website here so that I can evaluate that every time before I get on a phone call with them. So I have made that adjustment as well. So you need to set up a plan on how you are going to connect with your people at least 12 times a year. We've talked about this. I'm going to scream through this. Just create your systems. And then let's talk about your social media presence. There is a lot of pressure on entrepreneurs to get on social media, and I know it for the black hole that it is. Now, it is where 90% of my prospects come from, is my social media. However, I do not want to spend time on this. So I make sure that I am pricing myself at a rate that I can hire some wonderful person at $35 an hour to do my social media for me. Now, I have written all the scripts. I have told them what to say. I have set up systems, and I have them doing my social media for me. Now, if you're not at that level yet, where you're the one having to do your social media, get systems in place, because the reason why my people were able to get on my social media and do it for me was because I had systems in place. I was already operating those systems. I knew what worked. And the only time you'll see me on social media is in the morning when I'm wishing happy birthday to people. Okay, so I have times, believe it or not, I have Tuesday and Fridays where I'm on social media for 30 minutes and it's a hard stop. I have a timer going, and as my timer comes off, I finish whatever I'm entering and I send it off and I'm done. Social media can be a black hole for an entrepreneur, because it can make you feel like you're being productive, like I'm staying in touch with my people, and there's all kinds of justifications for being on it, and it can sucker you in. So let's get back to send out cards, because I did promise we'd do that. How many addresses do you have in your send out cards? Now, this was a promise that I made way back in April of 2020, and so I'm going to honor that. I started with 289. This is where I am today. I'm at 598. I only got 4 new addresses this week, and I'm down by 4 from last week, but some weeks I get 12 addresses, some weeks I only get 4. I did receive a bunch of return addresses, so I had to go investigate and find out where they were. And I also lost probably 3 people out of my connections. So there was a lot of shifting that happened today. But I don't worry about that, because what I see it doing is it's focusing more and more into the demographic I want to be in. My business is not hurting. Actually, my business has tripled in the last 2 months. And so I know these systems work now, and I can speak with a lot more stability on that. So how many addresses have you asked for this week? I ask for addresses every day with people I barely know. I'll say, hey, can I have your address? And I've very rarely do I have this. I'll have people say, oh, why? And I'll go, I want to send you a card. And that's usually enough. If they give me more resistance, I'm like, oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. I just wanted to send you a card. But if you don't know me well enough yet, let's just keep talking. And I'll say, when's the next time I can get on a Zoom call with you? So don't worry, they're going to stay in my connections. It's just, those are the ways I handle it. Because there's a lot of trust that's been burnt. A lot of bridges have been burnt in 2020. So I take it easy on people. How many people have you talked to on Zoom? I know that I had 12 one-to-ones, but I also had 6 where I was on major, larger Zoom calls this week. And when I got into breakout sessions, I made sure I got everybody's contact information in the breakout sessions. And one of the lovely people that we have on today, Carol Vince, came from one of those situations where we made sure we stayed in contact with each other. And she's been a friend to me ever since, and I to her. So some of your dearest friends you're going to run into on Zoom, never have physically met them. Don't hesitate on that. Okay, this is on my website. It's the articles page. Go ahead and check back here about once a week. I usually post once a week. Sometimes I have 2 articles a week that come out, mainly because if you struggle with technology and you can't get on Zoom, there's a beautiful article for that. And then I interviewed Ian Kingwell, who's my upline and send out cards. He is also the co-host for all of Australia with the Happy Neighborhood Project. This is a networking group that is totally in alignment, at least with the founder, of Send Out Cards. You know how with our family of Send Out Cards, everybody really just wants to make the world a better place one card at a time. We're really wanting, we're good people. We're happy people. And that's why I love working with you guys on Saturday. The Happy Neighborhood Project, the founder went out to find out what makes people happy. And because of all that research, he set up a networking group through 2020 to help people get back into that happiness of meeting their neighbors on Zoom. And it grew. It was one of those things that just grew. And so you have breakout sessions. They're 45 minutes long or 55 minutes, I forget exactly. Anyway, I signed up for several. One's in Hawaii, one is in Ireland. I went all over the world signing up for different ones. So go to the happyneighborhoodproject.com. And this interview is on my website, JanineBolon.com. And just go to articles and you'll see this image. And Ian and I are talking for about 9 minutes about how he got involved and how he ended up becoming the co-host for Australia. And that's pretty cool. Make sure that you spend time working in your business this week. If you want to make it Send Out Cards great or your primary business, just make sure that you're doing the work and make sure you send out cards as follow-up to all your people. Okay? So you don't have to set this as a goal, but just be aware. Ask yourself every day, how many cards did I send out today? Ooh, I didn't send out any of them today. Okay, get on your phone and just send a card to anybody. All right, give yourself an opportunity to be successful. Something that's new operating is that March 1st, I will be starting the Build Your Business Bootcamp. I had one in February. It was very successful. A lot of good things happened for people, so I'll start another one March 1st. You can go to my website, JanineBolon.com/bootcamp, and you will see all the information on that. It's $197. I work with you weekly for a month, and then you have the opportunity to have continual coaching from there. But that wraps up what we need to discuss for the training today. So I will turn off the recording and open it up for